What's going on, guys? Orange Bull here, and welcome back to another episode of the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. Now, if you guys don't recall, in the last video, we went through a whole bunch of new endings involving the reassurance bucket, and a lot of them are great new altered takes for the endings that we've already done. But I think the ending that really surprised me the most involved us going through some kind of event and finding this cassette player, and it apparently revealed to us some new, deeper lore that I wouldn't have ever figured could exist within something like the Stanley Parable before. But yeah, it was pretty crazy. So if you guys haven't checked out the last video, then go do so right now. Well, not right now, but you know what I'm talking about. Just go and check it out when you get a chance. So for today's video, as we're getting very close to the end of this, we're going to be doing like a couple more reassurance bucket altered endings of this, including two endings I still surprisingly actually haven't done yet throughout this entire playthrough. So not sure how long this video is going to be, but I know it's going to be really interesting to see all the new endings that we uncover throughout this video. So yeah, let's hop right into this. Alright guys, I've taken the elevator down towards the mind control facility, and you guys know what's coming next. We still haven't done the elevator ending and with the reassurance bucket, and if I recall correctly, we had to keep on going up and down the elevator a bunch of times until when eventually the narrator kind of praised our choices in diverting the storytelling that we ended up getting some kind of a conference for all of this. So my question now is, what happens if you do it with the bucket? Well, there's only one way to find out.
Wait, Stanley said to the bucket. Can we go back up? When I was pressing those keypad buttons, there was something very intriguing about the number 3. I want to go back so I can try pressing the number 3 again. The bucket said nothing.
Huh. Interesting thought. I thought the most interesting number in this entire game was
8.
Because you guys know that there's a little bit of a minor Easter egg where if you keep pressing 8 repeatedly on the keypad, it'll randomly just start saying
8.
I don't know why. Ever since the original Stanley Parable demo, I just can't get that random little joke out of my head. It's just really funny.
Here we are, said Stanley. Now I'm going to try out that number 3 button. He took the bucket over to the keypad and began absolutely slamming on the number 3 over and over and over.
Okay, before I punch in the last 3, I just had another thought. Some of you guys probably really know this better than I would, but have I been hearing something going on over the fact that there's like this random conspiracy going on with the number 3? Or there's a certain number in general for this game that, like, there's a certain number of this, etc., etc. I'm probably thinking too deeply into this, and this is probably just establishing with this particular version of the ending, but I don't know, just a thought.
Well, he said, the number 3 is such a special button. I'm having the time of my life. Stanley looked expectantly at the bucket, but the bucket remained silent. This was a shock to Stanley, who had always felt such a connection with the bucket. How was this not as exciting to the bucket as it was to him? Once Stanley had had enough of the number 3, he got back in the elevator.
So to Stanley, the number 3 is just so special, or just maybe the button on the keypad is so special, but to the bucket, he's basically just a snob, and he's just like, I am not amused. That's basically what it is here. Alright, well, Stanley seems to be just so interested in number 3. There's probably more to this, I know there is.
Perhaps the bucket had missed something. Perhaps it had not seen how much joy Stanley got from slamming the number 3 repeatedly. A hint of regret nagged in the back of Stanley's mind. Should he demonstrate the number 3 for the bucket again?
Yeah, I think we should really just show the bucket, like, how cool the number 3 is, or just the button on that keypad, pressing it repeatedly over and over again. Just to get it to properly understand.
No, said Stanley to the bucket. You can't go on yet. Not till you understand how much the number 3 means to me. You and I have been through so much together, and I just want you to see what I see. Feel the happiness I feel. He smiled at the bucket, and the bucket said nothing.
I have a feeling that the bucket is just not going to get it, no matter how many times we keep doing this.
Here we go, said Stanley. This time I'll really show you. He ran to the number 3 and began to wail on it like a musician on a beloved instrument, weaving a concerto of truth and passion. He wielded the number 3 like a fine artist would wield a paintbrush. He told stories through the number 3, stories of his dreams and hopes and fears. And the whole time, he looked to his bucket for a reaction of some kind. Anything to let him know that the bucket appreciated what he was doing. The bucket conveyed absolutely nothing at all.
Of course
Only
it doesn't. It's a
silence.
bucket.
Crushed by a wave of dejection, Stanley returned to the elevator.
Oh god, you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of that old quote from SpongeBob during the Texas episode. The part where, like, no matter how much... I think it was actually for, like, SpongeBob and Patrick were trying to convince Sandy to come back to her tree dome. And then trying to, like, you know, make fun of Texas so much. And then it's just Patrick going, like, what's so great about dumb old Texas? That's basically equivalent to here. The bucket is just like, what's so great about the number 3?
Stanley and the bucket were so close. They'd always been there for one another. Why suddenly could the bucket not connect with this passion of Stanley's? The question caused Stanley to ruminate the whole way down the elevator. He knew that there must be a way to get through to the bucket, to communicate fully with his dear friend. Surely there was a solution, mustn't there be?
There could be a solution, but then again, some people just don't understand when you like a certain thing. I could understand if Stanley just simply liked pressing that button because of the texture of how satisfying the sound is every time you press the button. But you're just pressing the number 3. What are you getting out of that exactly? I feel like I'm more on the side of the bucket here, if anything. And I hate to say that because it's just a bucket. It's an inanimate object. But then again, maybe I'm missing something too over this.
Said Stanley. I know what to do. I know how to fully express this feeling in my heart. He decided right then and there that he would hold a press conference where he would speak to the public on all matters relating to pressing the number 3 over and over. He would elaborate fully on what the number 3 meant to him and why he felt so alive when pressing it. Then the bucket would be able to see his joy through the eyes of others. It would get to see the world react to this discovery of Stanley's. And it would be through the public eye that the bucket would finally understand Stanley's work.
Really?
For months he advertised and marketed his press conference, building excitement around it, developing and rehearsing it, until it couldn't be refined a single measure further. When the big day arrived, Stanley was as prepared as he'd ever been for anything in his life.
Oh, for God. He's really going through the entire effort of actually doing a press conference just for pressing the number 3 on a keypad? I don't get the... Okay.
This was it. One last chance to win the bucket over. One opportunity to share a true connection with a loved one.
3 again? 3 again? Okay. You know, Stanley has 2 different kinds of obsessions going on here. He has an obsession towards the bucket as a whole in order to gain its understanding and, you know, to relate it to his obsession towards the number 3. And now he just has an obsession towards the number 3 in general. Or just pressing the button on the keypad. I still don't know. This is getting out of hand here.
There was no one here.
Of course there was no one here.
Nobody had come to the press conference to hear Stanley speak, to listen to him talk about what it really means to press the number 3 on a keypad over and over. He was unloved, uninteresting, he was a failure, and in that moment Stanley knew that the bucket would never again take him seriously.
Wow.
There would be no connection, no deeper understanding. The bucket merely sat there in his arms, indifferent. And so it began that slowly, over many years, the two of them grew more and more distant. They spoke less and less, neither wishing to state the obvious, that any sense of real respect between them had eroded since that day at the press conference. There would be no more games, no more long conversations about passion and pursuit, only a silence that consumed the space between friends. And Stanley, having for once in his life discovered the warmth and comfort of true companionship, was cast back into the unremarkable normalcy of loneliness.
Ooh, that's rough. That's really rough. You know, I mean, it's one thing for someone not to fully understand about someone liking a certain thing or something. I'm doing my best to really explain this the best I can, or at least from what I got out of this ending. But, like, this Stanley and the bucket finally just drifting apart, all just because of Stanley's obsession towards pressing the number 3 on a keypad. Well, if this was a real relationship between, you know, two people, then I could kind of see why someone would eventually want to drift apart. But, like, after all, I mean, if we were in Stanley's position, though, after all they've been through, and especially with all the new altered endings that we've already gone through, I could see why Stanley would just be now so depressed that, like, the bucket just doesn't understand him as a person, and just understand why he enjoyed doing this certain thing so much. But back to what I was saying before when we first got in, like, to the press conference. Like, of course nobody was there, though. You don't hold a press conference over pressing the button 3. Again, I'm probably thinking way too deeply into all this. It's the Stanley Parable. It's supposed to be funny. It's supposed to be nonsensical. I didn't get a chance to read this out loud, but I actually did see turn around, like on the board it says what it really means to press the number 3 in the keypad over and over, presented by Stanley. Oh my god. You get to a point where you just really like something so much that you just have to spread it around and let people know how great it really is, just to get them to fully understand. Alright, I am back towards the ending where the apartment ending would usually happen, but we're doing a completely different ending before, and it involves the phone. Believe it or not, some of you who have not played this game, you'll be thinking, what is there to do here? There's only one option you could take, and it's just to pick up the phone when you're asked to do so. Well, what if I told you that you can actually unplug the phone? Yeah, that's a thing. You can actually unplug the phone. And we're going to find out what happens if you unplug the phone.
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. To reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
No, we're not picking up the phone this time. How about we actually have our own choice for once? Let's do this.
As Stanley picked up the phone, a white light engulfed him, filling him not just with radiance, but with hope. Hope for a life reunited one... Wait. Oh, goodness. Stanley, did you just unplug the phone? No, that wasn't supposed to be a choice. How did you do that? You actually chose incorrectly. I didn't even know that was possible. Let me double check.
It is possible, though.
No, it's definitely
our choice of freedom.
Day. Stanley picks up the phone. He's taken to his apartment where he finds his wife, and the two pledge themselves to one another. Music comes in, fade to white, roll credits. Not picking up the phone is actually somehow an incorrect course of action. How is that even possible? None of these decisions were supposed to mean anything. I don't understand. How on earth are you making meaningful choices? What did you... Wait a second. Did I just see... No, that's not possible. I can't believe it. How had I not noticed it sooner? You're not Stanley. You're a real person.
You catch on quick there,
I can't
Slick.
believe I was so mistaken. This is why you've been able to make correct and incorrect choices. And to think I've been letting you run around in this game for so long. If you'd made any more wrong choices, you might have negated it entirely. It's as though you completely ignored even the most basic safety protocol for real-world decision-making. Or did you not grasp the severity of the situation?
I
Well, I
haven't.
won't have that kind of risk on my watch. I'm going to stop the game for a moment so we can educate you properly on safe decision-making in the real world.
Oh,
Please
okay.
observe this helpful instructional video.
My God.
Choice. It's the best part of being a real person. But
Okay.
if used incorrectly, can also be the most dangerous. For example, in this scenario, a hypothetical real person named Rupert has a choice. He could invent a machine that eliminates food shortages across the world to make life better for all people. Or he could spend years of hard work forgetting how to read. Which choice would you make? Remember that unlike here, the real world makes sense, and at no time should you make a choice that does not conform to rational logic. If you find yourself speaking with a person who does not make sense, in all likelihood, that person is not real. Allow the person to finish their thought, then provide an excuse why you cannot continue talking. Turn to a partner and practice saying, "My goodness, is it 4:30? I'm supposed to be having a back, sack, and crack."
I don't even remember what the sentence was.
Excellent.
Okay.
Making choices on a regular basis is the best part to a healthy decision-making process. Most medical professionals recommend making at least 8 choices per day.
8
Do you make more
choices.
than 8? Less? And finally, if you begin to wonder if your choices are actually meaningful and whether you'll ever make a significant contribution to the world, just remember that in the vast infiniteness of space, your thoughts and problems are materially insignificant, and the feeling should subside. At this time, your instructor will guide you in an exercise to test and reinforce the material covered in this video.
Ah, welcome back.
What? Hey.
You may have noticed that this room has begun to deteriorate as a result of narrative contradiction.
Okay.
But not to worry. Now that you're properly informed on good decision-making, we're going to revisit a choice you made just a few minutes ago and see what the correct thing to do would have been. This way, please.
Oh, a guardrail around it now.
Now that we know your choices are meaningful, we can't have you jumping off the platform and dying. Imagine the main character dying senselessly halfway through the story.
Yeah, that would be
story
bad.
would make no sense at all. We just need to get you home as soon as possible before the narrative contradiction gets any worse. Unfortunately, it seems this place is not well equipped to deal with reality.
Well, yeah, because it's a game. Of course, it wouldn't be really good for reality. That's the point of this, isn't it?
Almost there. You'll take the door on the left, back to the correct ending, the story will have resolution once again, and you'll be home free in the real world. Now remember, all you need to do is behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Yeah, but what if I'm not Stanley, though? Did you ever think about that, narrator? I'm not Stanley. I don't have to follow a single word on what you just said. I'm allowed to make my own choices.
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back in the other direction. Perhaps we're not too late.
Oh, Jesus Christ. So there's some kind of error that happens when we don't follow his direction. Oh, dear God.
Oh, it's ruined. I can't believe, after everything we talked about, that you... My story...
that part of the red
you've
door?
destroyed my work! Why? For what? What did you get out of that? What did you think was so special about seeing the game undone, left here like so much
It's
garbage?
fun.
It's worthless now. And what am I supposed to do? Even if there were a way to continue, would it be worth it? To know that my story is now incorrect? How can I go back to that? I can't erase that knowledge. I'll have to live with it forever, reliving its impossibility forever. I couldn't live that way. Is it better to shut the game down entirely? To willingly destroy all of my work? I don't know. What's the answer? What do I do? What do I do? What do I... No, I have to. I have to shut the game down. I have to. I have to.
Okay. What the?
Oh, I'm here. I'm still here. Here in this pile of rubbish. With you. You. Who thought you were so clever. Now look where we are.
Yeah,
My
ain't I
entire
a
game is
stinker?
destroyed. It was the only thing in the world that was mine, and you've run it into the ground. What, did you think that would be funny? You just had to see?
I mean, come on.
Didn't I impress upon you how important it was to be like Stanley?
Our curiosity has to
He
be
actually
quenched.
knows how to do what I tell him to. He understands that if I say to do something, there's a damn good reason for it.
Oh my god.
That thought hadn't even occurred to you, had it? That there's a world outside of you? You're a child. Oh, my story. If you'd just gone through the door on the left, you would have seen it. There was a whole underground facility. You would have destroyed it and been victorious. It would have been so perfect. I worked so hard on it. I tried so hard to make...
Okay.
...behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing
Did we just find a glitch in the
and always
Matrix?
putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Okay. You know I gotta go through the right door again. I must see if something changes or if it happens again.
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back.
Okay.
Behave exactly as Stanley
So
would.
I'm guessing the game
That means
just
choosing
won't allow us to do it
responsibly
again
and
now.
always putting the story first. I'm
That'll
quite
make
sure you'll be
sense.
up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
All right. We're going through the left door this time.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Oh, look at that. The bottom of the stairs is now closed off.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
I keep forgetting how really good this ending actually was, I'm gonna be honest. Oh, the boss's office changed.
Stepping inside his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, until he saw the door with a voice receiver next to it. Surely behind this door lay all the answers to his questions. And beyond all probability, he knew the passcode. He had seen it on his boss's computer just last week. Night Shark 115. Was this the code to open the door?
Yeah, that's gonna be a
Would it still
problem.
work? There was only one way to find out. Stanley had been trained never to speak up, but now he would draw from within himself the courage to face the unknown. He drew a sharp breath and then spoke the code.
Yeah, sorry, that's not gonna happen here. I don't think the game even has mic input. This is awkward.
Stanley spoke the code. Night Shark.
Oh, I heard you.
115.
Heard you loud and clear.
He spoke it into the receiver, right there on the wall.
Yeah, I can't really say anything. Even if I tried saying it right now, nothing's gonna
Is
happen.
there a problem?
Yes, there
You didn't
is.
mishear me, did you? Please speak the code into the receiver. Otherwise, we can't get on with the story. This is a crucial step.
I can't say anything.
Okay, fine. You're not going to do it, but you know what?
I'm not doing
It's
it by
pretty
choice.
humiliating to bring you this far, only for you to suddenly decide you have better things to do. I asked
Whoa,
you for
whoa,
this
whoa.
one single thing, for your respect. The kind of respect Stanley shows for his choices. He knows what it means to take a story seriously. If you didn't want to see what I had to show you, then why did you come here? You had a choice, you know. You could have gone through the door on the right.
I did
You
have a
could have
choice,
done
and I
whatever
did try
the
going
hell
through the
you
door on the
wanted
right.
over there. Why did you come this? Speak. Say something to me. Explain yourself, you coward. You.
Oh my god.
When Stanley came to a
Oh.
set of 2 open doors, he entered the door
Oh.
on his left.
Okay.
Stanley? Hello? Are you...
Oh my
Is everything
god.
okay? Stanley, please. I need you to make a choice.
Yep.
I need you to walk through the door. Are you listening to me? Can you hear me? Is everything
Yep.
all right? Stanley, this is important. The story needs you. It needs you to make a decision. It cannot exist without you. Do you understand me? Whatever choice you make is just fine. They're both correct. You cannot be wrong here. We can work together. I'll accept whatever you do. I simply need you to take that step forward, please. Choose.
Whew.
Do something. Anything. This is more important than you can ever know. I need this. The story needs it. So, you hear me? Are you there? Are you listening to this? Stanley, are you there?
Wow, man.
Okay. It's okay, I can wait. You need time to decide. Time to make sure your choice is correct. That is the best choice.
Sorry, Leroy.
That's all right. I'll wait for you to decide what's the right thing to do. Take as much time as you need.
Yeah, that's how it ends. I'm confused by the credits, though. Is that the definitive ending for this? Or is that... I mean, yeah, I'm at a loss of words. That was surreal, man. Really
All of his
surreal.
co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided
man.
to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Yeah, so apparently this is what happens if you unplug the phone. The narrator realizes you're a real person, and you try to follow, or at least you attempt to try to follow all the narrator's dialogue and do exactly what you're told to do, and you can't really proceed further with it because there's no, again, I said this already, but there's no voice input for this. So I can't even verbally put in the code for the door. This was done intentionally, I'm sure. But like, there's no way to proceed if you can't even speak. And so, from what I gathered, what happens during that little credit sequence there, I'm guessing the game wanted to correct the problem and decided to put us out of the player position of Stanley, and basically we can't really choose for Stanley. He just stands there like a zombie, or just some model. That's it. It's a depressing ending, but that's it. That's how it ends. So now I have a new contender for most depressing endings in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. Let me know in the comments, which one do you think is the most depressing? The apartment ending, the skip button ending, or as I come to know it, as the not Stanley ending? I think no matter what, you just get some really depressing endings for this. But we're not done just yet. We obviously have another ending that I still need to go through without the bucket, and then we obviously need to go through that ending again with the bucket. So let's find out and see what changes with this ending this time. Alright, so I'm back with the bucket. Let's find out what happens if we choose to unplug the phone with it. Out of all endings we've gone through, I think this is the one I am probably the most really intrigued by to see what changes for this, because that was a whole lot that we just went through. But yeah, let's do it.
Now pick up the phone,
Said
No.
the bucket.
pick up the phone, and it will take us back home, where we can go about life together.
And yoink!
Whoa, hold on. Why did you unplug the phone? Were you trying to resist the bucket's orders? Stanley, I was joking.
Wait,
Obviously,
what?
the bucket isn't talking to you and telling you to do things. Buckets can't talk. It was a joke. Don't you get the joke? It's funny, Stanley. A talking bucket. Can't you see? Oh, goodness. I must have really bungled up the delivery if you actually took me seriously. Where did I mess up the joke? Should I have paused for longer or spoken quicker? Comedic timing is so difficult.
Okay.
I wish I were better at it. But there isn't exactly an instructional video on comedy that one can watch to fully... Oh, wait, yes, there is. It's
Wait, there's
sitting
an
right
instructional
here.
video for
Let's
this
take a
too?
look.
What is comedic timing?
Wait, what?
What is comedic timing? How does it work? How long should it last? How can it be used to effectively silence your political enemies? And more importantly, can it be taught in its entirety within 90 seconds? Thankfully, the answer to all of these questions is yes.
No,
Let's
you
dive
can't.
deeper. If you've ever told a joke or made someone laugh, in all likelihood, you did it while standing 50 to 80 centimeters from them in a room of no more than 76 degrees Fahrenheit with one of your arms raised straight upward at a 15-degree angle from your body. These are the optimal conditions for good comedic timing. To begin the joke, start by stating and spelling your name. Next, provide a brief synopsis of the joke, including the specific times at which the recipient of the joke will laugh, and then spell out your name a second time. With these steps complete, it's time to begin the humor. Speak the entire
But
joke
this is all
in no more than 18
satirical,
seconds
right?
and no less than 13 and a half, pausing only for bathroom breaks when necessary. When the joke has concluded, it is customary to inform your listener that the joke is over by declaring in your loudest possible voice, "I'm Dunny with the funny." Let's practice screaming, "I'm Dunny with the funny" now.
I'm Dunny with the funny, see?
Good. This saying is a perfect example of expectations management, which is the cornerstone
God.
of good comedy. Finally, it's time to hand out surveys.
Survey?
Collecting hard data from your audience on how rapt they were throughout the joke is the only way to grow or learn as a comedian. An effective survey should be no less than 10 pages long and should include the same question reprinted several times, just to ensure the survey taker is actually paying attention and not simply filling in answers at random. And that's all there is. With these strategies at your disposal, you'll have audiences doubled over in laughter and even tripled over in laughter in no time at all. Just remember to let them stop laughing at some point, you gut-busting little scamp. After all, we're each of us needed on the front lines of the war to fight the 12-legged invader who threaten our very existence, and who very likely die in a hailstorm of bullets and mandibles. All of us must be prepared to give our lives to this noble cause, just as our children must do after us, and their children after them.
Oh my
Godspeed,
God.
and may Earth reign supreme.
What? Okay.
Hey, goodness, this video is a little outdated, isn't it?
Very.
Well, no matter. I think the fundamentals of proper comedic timing are still as relevant today as they were back then. So with that in mind, I believe the only way forward is for us to return to the two doors and walk through all of this again, so I can try telling my story with more appropriate comedic delivery.
Oh, no.
Come along, let's head back.
I've got a bad feeling about this. So yeah, this is taking an interesting turn. This is still exactly like the Not Stanley ending.
I can feel it. This time, I'm really going to nail the delivery. You'll be in stitches. A talking bucket, you'll say? How ridiculous. How absurd. What a hilarious concept. The king of comedy. That's what you'll call me. Thank goodness we have the instructional video. Otherwise, who knows where we'd be right now. Well, I wouldn't be the king of comedy, that's for sure. The bucket spoke to Stanley.
The bucket spoke.
The bucket spoke.
Oh, Jesus
Oh, I'll figure it out
Christ.
on the fly. No need to overthink things.
So, yeah. I really was not expecting this at all, period. So, with our choices involving the bucket, this is really confusing. Like, was the narrator just always joking for this, or is he just reading off of it because it's part of the whole plot line or something? I don't really know. But apparently, well, as I assumed beforehand, it was always a joke over him talking as if the bucket was actually alive.
Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2 open doors, they entered the door on the left.
Alright, you know what I have to do here. I gotta go through the right door. Oh. There's a door open. To quote Alice in Wonderland, curiouser and curiouser. What happens?
What? We're back at the phone already? No, what's going on? There was supposed to be several rooms leading up to this. There was supposed to be a build-up to this point, a dramatic display of remarkable comedic wit which culminates in this scene with the phone.
And the phone's still
Now
unplugged, by the way.
Completely off. The joke will never land. Well, not the way it was meant to. And it's all my fault. I must have forgotten that the phone room comes immediately after the 2 doors.
No, it doesn't.
What an egregious mistake. I've made a fool of myself. I don't deserve the title of King of Comedy. I'm nothing. I'm not even the lowliest joke-telling whelp. I think I need to go back.
No,
and
don't put
rewatch
yourself
that
down like that,
instructional video
narrator.
again. Yes, surely that will help me improve my...
Wow.
Here
So
we go.
basically,
You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2 open doors, they entered the door on the left.
we just go through the right door, then yeah, you ruined the joke pretty much.
No. You were supposed to go through the door on the right, leading back to the phone.
Wait, I thought you said the
Did
left
you not
door,
even
though.
Look at the instructional video. I think this is all covered very clearly. There's no way I can make the comedic timing work now. It's done. The joke is completely done and over. It's all your fault, Stanley.
Oh my God, calm
I'm going
down.
to be ridiculed in the community of other joke writers. I'm going to be shamed at every one of our meetings from now on. All because you couldn't watch a simple video and take a hint. Are you proud of yourself for bringing me down, Stanley? Are you proud?
Okay.
Stanley, you love the bucket so much it's like you... it's as though all of your other most prized possessions pale in comparison.
Are you serious?
Well, let me try that again, Stanley. I heard that you are pale with shame over how
Oh, no.
a bucket you are. No? Still not...
Have you really come to this point, narrator?
Pale with shame. Pale with shame. Pale...
Stop.
Another word to
Just
describe a
stop.
bucket. Stanley, this bucket is so metal. I think I saw it playing guitar.
Oh, dear God.
No. I'm getting away from making fun of Stanley's obsession with the bucket, which was the whole point of this. I'm no good at these jokes. I need more instructional videos. That's exactly what it is.
You need a whole lot more than just instructional videos, I'll tell you that.
Instructional videos. Let's see.
Well, that was a bit more, I guess, uplifting. We ended up ruining the joke twice, and so we basically just get to sit out for the whole time. But basically sitting out the whole time just now results in the narrator just talking to Stanley without so much as not so much as a reaction, and he tells bucket puns. That's the level he's come to. Oh my God. Okay, well, I'm gonna make this video a little bit longer because there is actually one more ending in particular, and this one is gonna involve me doing it twice. Once without the bucket, and once with the bucket. So, yeah, I don't usually do this, but like, I just want to get these endings out of the way because I think there's some. Well, to be honest, like, these endings, like, I just feel like getting done now. So, I'll be right back. Alright. It's all come to this. You guys have been seeing this all throughout the whole series, and now I think it's time we finally, I guess, escape. So let's go down this little corridor and just see what happens now.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Oh yeah, sure, I believe you. It can't
The door
possibly...
behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
Yeah, sure.
At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Really, my own death. Well, this seems pleasant. Oh, good God.
Well, I'm dead.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture.
Oh,
he doesn't know
Jesus
the real
Christ.
story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man.
Oh, God.
So he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Oh, no.
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Oh, okay. This just got more interesting.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
Who?
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Oh my God, wow. Yeah, this just kind of led into an interesting direction, especially with what this new narrator has just stated. Stanley has been dead ever since he walked right out of his office. I'm guessing that's really how it works? Or at least that's been part of the story the whole time. I don't know, but I'm at another loss of words. Just appears that we are now in just some kind of museum relating to the game. In a way, this almost feels like it's bonus content, if you will, for this. And I can imagine there's a lot of stuff here to look through, but for the sake of this video, I'm just gonna look around and kind of glance through some parts. But I'll obviously gonna want to look through everything in my own spare time. See, office computers. This looks like one of the employees was playing a little bit of solitaire there. And the game itself. Okay, one thing I've been wanting to say throughout the entire video, but the one thing I've also really appreciated about this game is Kevin Brighting himself, the guy who voiced the narrator. I can't describe it very well, but the best way I can describe his voice acting in this game is just he's really added a lot more character towards this whole thing. Again, I'm not the most great person at gathering my own thoughts about a certain thing, but I've always really appreciated Kevin Brighting's acting for the narrator of this. It's just, in a way, it's just the cherry on top of everything else this game has provided for us. And the fact that he even came back to do new voice lines for the new content stuff, that just really says a lot to how much even he appreciates this game as a whole, and how much it's actually impacted his career. I could go on, but that's the best way I can put it. Just, Kevin Brighting, if you haven't been to discover this video, then well done. You've always really done a really great job with this. Small posters. Wait a minute. I recognize that poster. That's from the, That's from the original teaser trailer for Ultra Deluxe. This shot right here was at the end of it. That's an interesting little addition, because I'm really sure that wasn't part of the original version of the game, so that's an interesting little addition. See, narrator emails. Oh, wait a minute. This is more than just behind-the-scenes content for the original Stanley Parable. This is behind-the-scenes content for Ultra Deluxe as a whole, including for the marketing they did with the trailers. After the second trailer was sent out, we asked people to email the narrator for questions. While we had initially planned to use these further promotional materials, we never found the perfect use for them. Here are a selection of them. I'm assuming these are real people that actually sent some of these emails in, but I could obviously look through some of them, but it's really cool to actually see some of this stuff actually being implemented within this ending. Because, yeah, I seriously do not remember this being included. Countdown death. One of the deaths from an early version of the Countdown ending. And this is the Freedom ending as it existed in the beta. Wow. Really nice illustration. Alright, so again, I could probably go on and on here, but, like, that just gives you a little bit of a sample of, like, some of the stuff they've included here for the behind-the-scenes stuff. I'll probably end up coming back to this on my own time, but for now, let's head towards the exit.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
Oh, God. She just got more sinister sounding.
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen.
Oh, no.
But listen to me. You can still save these two.
Why did you bring us back
stop
here?
The program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game.
Oh,
as long
man.
as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let time...
And that's all she wrote, folks. So, I think that's how this just ends. If I remember this ending... Oh! That's different. In the original version of the ending, it just goes completely to black. It doesn't bring you right back to the office. I think you have to restart it yourself. But yeah, that's a really interesting ending. I'm not the best person to really describe all this, but like, just for the fact that in terms of the narrative, I'm not really sure like what the whole showing us the behind the scenes aspect is supposed to mean exactly. Maybe like supposed to represent just how much this game... No, I can't really think of like any explanation as to like what it could mean here. But like this new female narrator though, just explaining to us that like Stanley and the narrator are kind of just like one and the same, and they both really need each other. And if Stanley dies in this scenario, what we just went through, then yeah, in a way they kind of both end up dying. I really do like the behind the scenes feature to this whole thing. Just, you know, showing all the hard work and effort that, you know, everybody who's involved with the original Stanley Parable did to make it what it is now. But I love this new addition to this. The original version of the ending, as I made very clear, doesn't have any of the stuff that I just pointed out. So it's really cool that they've added some stuff relating to some of the promotional stuff they did for Ultra Deluxe as well. So yeah, that was really cool though. Another ending that still lives within my head, and I think about it so much to this day. So this is where I would end things. But we now have to, of course, experience what happens if you go through this ending with the bucket. Well, let's find that out, shall we?
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death.
Oh, Stanley and the bucket now being included with this.
The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
So
At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
Okay. So so far this is already sounding like that, like it's still the same exact ending, but just new dialogue, including the bucket in it. There's a part of me that's hoping there's a little bit more to this than that, but of course I still want to experience this anyway because it's not called Ultra Deluxe for nothing. So let's dive in. Yep, here we go again. Aren't you going to say anything, narrator?
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be. To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket, but what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death?
It's so
This
true.
is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere.
He finally
Farewell,
realizes.
Stanley.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end as it was crushed violently to death.
Yeah. No surprise there. Alright, so we get new dialogue from that female narrator now, too.
It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest. It was a glorious bucket to behold.
Wait, I'm just realizing the bucket's gone now. Wait! The bucket welcomes you to the grand exhibit. Oh no, I have a funny feeling I know what this is going to be. You're standing at the precipice of knowledge. Much like a bucket itself, the human mind is frequently empty within, a cavernous void. But through use of the exhibit in front of you, the mind becomes full and enriched and substantiated. Knowledge of the bucket and its history is the only true knowledge we really have. Will you take what you learn here out with... God, I can't read. Will you take what you learn here out with you into the world? Will you accept with an open mind what may be challenging about the information in this exhibit? Will you change the lives of yourself and your loved ones as a result of this exhibit? Or will you turn a blind eye and continue to live as you were, in ignorance and darkness? Well, buckle up. I think we know what this is going to involve.
Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
Oh! So all praise the mighty, glorious bucket now. What is this? A bucket with two handles? I'm not even going to bother reading all the descriptions, so I'm probably going to take like a bunch of screenshots just so I can be able to read it later. And you guys can obviously pause too, like if you want. What the Inferno buckets? Oh my god. So basically, yeah, the bucket is taken over. Wait, what is this? Is this a... What am I hearing right now? But wait, are you telling me that like the bucket even existed all the way back in caveman days? Man, this bucket is definitely...
No man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
So, what you're now telling us is that the bucket's a god? Is that what you're implying here? The bucket is a god? Because that's how it sounds to me. What do you think you are, Loki? think we're gonna need the bucket version of the Avengers now to take you down.
I am a god, you dull creature, and I will not be bullied by that. Puny god.
The hanging bucket. This piece symbolizes the necessary relationship between bucket and humanity. However clear our grasp of the bucket may be, there is yet more that is always out of reach. This distance, inevitably, is for our own good. Oh, wait, are we dropping... Oh, wait, we're taking the bucket. I thought it was going to force us to drop down. What happened now?
There is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong. Let Stanley die.
Of course.
Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new world, a new vision for...
Oh, man. So the bucket has a bigger meaning even beyond our own knowledge of the world of this game. It seems as though that it's not just Stanley the narrator that has now gone crazy with the bucket. It's now this female narrator too. The bucket is a god. Confirmed. Okay, well, I think that's what I'm officially gonna call it. All this bucket knowledge and buckets being God and superior towards humans is too much for me to grasp. But I do hope you guys have enjoyed this. I think we are now gonna be ready to move on towards the finale. So, in the next video, yes, I'm going to be finally collecting the last Stanley figurine, and we are going to finally see what is going to happen upon doing so. Because, again, based on all the times I keep on passing through the meeting room, it does seem like that you are going to get some type of a reward for going on the trouble of collecting all 6 figures. So I'm very curious to see where that's going to go. But, yeah, so all the versions of the endings we just experienced today... Man, the bucket really does adds a whole lot to everything in this. Whether it's just for ending's sake or just for laughs and jokes, it doesn't matter. It just really adds to this whole version of the game, and I really enjoyed so much. So, yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys all really enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like and a comment below. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see the finale when it comes out. And, until the finale, take care.